I am from South Korea, and my name is Hanu Park. I want to start by expressing my sincere gratitude to the conference organizers for working so tirelessly to make this amazing event a success in Singapore. In addition, I am grateful for the invitation to speak at the second conference after the first one in 2017. Today, I'll discuss the analysis that my team conducted using social big data from YouTube and Google Trends on the most recent presidential election in South Korea. Before moving on to the study of presidential election, I'd first like to provide a condensed overview of the intellectual foundation of big data. Most importantly, the academic community had not yet found an effective way to cope with the never-ending stream of large data that was produced by the digital environment. There was a cultural gap that was developing between the academic world and the corporate world. Both Nature and Science, two of the most prestigious scientific publications in the world, released special issues in 2008 and 2011 respectively, that foretold the onset of the era of the big data. Since then, there has been a response from the academic community, but it is insufficient. Instead of using the term big data, the scientific journal Nature referred to a new era using the term computational social science in July of 2021. But the thing that we really want to stress is the fact that we are talking about the measurement, which is at the core of the traditional research methodologies that were taught in schools before big data came along. How to make a scientifically valid measurement of social phenomena using large data set. It is increasingly feasible for us to completely perceive and comprehend the workings of social streams. Big data is distinguished in online communication by the process of the attention, reaction, expression, participation, which are abbreviated as N4. First, consider the attention process. Social phenomena are no longer confined to traditional media. When an event occurs, the social media environment actively responds. In real time, users distribute events. Surprised by the extraordinary interest, traditional media corporations are rushing to acquire social media attention because they will fall behind the competition. The second factor is the reaction mode. Citizens respond to real-time topics willingly by searching, subscribing, liking, disliking, and sharing. Third, until people communicate news in their own world, any topic will unavoidably remain on the outskirts of the journalism. It is critical to assess the language of the comments. Except for duplicate word, the proportion of the unique word is especially crucial. It is also vital to consider whether specific terms are repeated. Last but not least, participation includes things like attending an in-person demonstration or a petition, casting a vote in an election, etc. People tend to vote in elections after they have practiced the aforementioned three processes, which include paying attention, reacting, and expressing themselves. It is anticipated that populations of M4 will generate momentum for engagement and changes in behavioral patterns. Let me provide an overview of key aspects of South Korea's latest presidential election. political schism between conservative and progressive factions, gender discrepancies between men and women in their 20s. There are significant political differences between the provinces of Daegu, Busan, Gyeongsang, and Gangju-Jeolla that are rooted in regionalism. The housing market reached an unhealthy level of activity during the tenure of the previous president. Because of the ongoing economic downturn and COVID-19, there are less opportunities for jobs that are of high level. Poor quality of the electoral campaign as a result of a lack of clarity in public policy positions taken by the candidate for the ruling Democratic Party Lee and the candidate for the opposition PPP Party Yoon. Today, I'd like to discuss two recent research conducted by my team. The first study focused on Google Trend. Here are the research questions. Will significant political figures have a more visible online presence, both on Google and in the real world? To put it another way, is it politics as usual, implying that the social media world isn't all that different from the physical world? Google Trend generates a map of people's interest by analyzing search behavior and shows the frequency with which individuals serving a certain search phrase in proportion to overall search volume across a number of geographies. Obviously, some people feel that search engine or portal site can influence or manipulate election results. However, this is outside the scope of our investigation. Previously, comparing candidate names was achieved by evaluating the absolute numbers of Google Trend hit count. This study, on the other hand, employed Google Trend to assess the search intensity of each candidate and keyword into each province from the perspective of network. The level of public interest can be viewed on Google Trend by adjusting weighted values and assigning a value of 100 to the point in time when the number of searches is at its highest point within the range of the time that was specified. Research in a wide variety of fields is already making use of the Google Trend due to the fact that the platform delivers numbers of interest for the certain time period, country, area, and local level. The majority of the study done in the past focus on statistical analysis using Google Trend figures. Further, current research attempts to grasp the structure of the gathered election-related data by successfully obtaining the centrality of the candidate and issue-based keyword via network analysis. According to the National Election Commission, this is the outcome of the vote cast for each candidate in their respective regions. Yoon, who represented the opposition party and was indicated by the color red, narrowly defeated Lee, who stood for the party in the power and was symbolized by the color blue. The conservative candidate is displayed in red, while the progressive candidate is depicted in blue. However, in Gyeonggi, Gangju, Jeolla, and Jeju, blue candidate was successful in taking the lead. In practice, standard values were used to arrange the actual vote in a manner similar to the Google Trend Index. The normalized value is obtained when the highest attainable score of 100 was awarded to the area of the map with the most total votes received. The Pearson correlation coefficient was used to determine the correlation between the actual vote after election and the Google Trend data collected by a region before the vote. This made it possible to portray the nature of the connection more clearly. Lee, who was represented by the blue color, had a high correlation of 0.785. Yoon, who was represented by the red color, had also high correlation of 0.808. We computed the metrics for region, issue keyword, and candidate centrality based on the structure of the network and the position of the node. In addition, a two-mode network analysis was carried out in order to establish the connection between the two candidates. This involved compiling a list of such phrases for each candidate that is highly queried, highly searched. In addition, the study evaluated the significance of electoral concerns on a regional basis and categorized them accordingly. This is an illustration of how a network can be seen. This is the end of the first study. Let me start with the second study. There are typically 6 different kinds of network found in social media. There are many different sorts of crowd, and they can be classified as polarized crowd, tight crowd, brand crowd clusters, community clusters, broadcast networks, or support networks, depending on the size and structure of the subgroups. According to the findings from earlier studies, butterfly-shaped polarization network and the dense network are unable to be scaled and are less effective than cluster networks in mobilizing people with varying political orientations and swing voters during political campaigns. My team has been analyzing the flow and content of open communication regarding the information that social media users obtain and from whom they get it as the elections are currently taking place. Using network type and analytics, one can have a better understanding of appearance of favorable fandoms, moderate groups, and opposing groups. Here are a few studies on the correlations between various networking activities and election outcomes. On social media, hybrid encounters take place. Since social media communication includes in-person and mediated causal conversation, it is a hybrid interaction. People engage in mediated interaction when they connect with a specific person through one-to-one medium like phone conversations. It is a concept that is comparable to simultaneous in-person encounters that take place in the same setting. These mediated mutual communications appear in the traditional media such as news, dramas, and advertisement for unidentified people. On the other hand, hybrid interactions are frequent on social media. The volume and pace of these hybrid connections can be doubled by the frequency and speed of social media contact on political participation and civic engagement. Additionally, hybrid interactions are very socially contagious, as are emotions or behaviors in response to news. In this study, social network analysis was performed to assess how individuals responded to a debate that was hosted on YouTube during the 2022 presidential election in Korea. We gathered replies and comments from the Sampro TV with the God of Economy YouTube channel. 3 experienced specialists are referred to as Sampro. Supporters of the candidate for the ruling party claimed that the Sampro channel was a broadcast that saved the country. The crucial distinction is that throughout the debate, the blue candidate came across as more capable than red contender. Existing YouTube studies are primarily concerned with explaining the difference in production format and broadcast time between traditional and new media, observing negative impact from the excessive use and unhealthy content, and analyzing information diffusion and social networks through the influences, among other things. Studies on causality of media acceptance, in which the cognitive factors of YouTube viewers are used as independent variables. Studies on the use of YouTube by government agencies or politicians as an online video communication channel with the public, and studies on the social demographic and business characteristics of professional YouTube producers are also conducted in the past. What function does YouTube specifically serve in enabling people to spread information about the politicians they back and in motivating regular people to do the same? To put it another way, how good is YouTube in generating audience interest and participation in the presidential election? The larger the point is stated, the higher the in-degree value. In other words, the greater the dot, the more popular people receive comment. As the out-degree value decreases, it becomes closer to blue, and as it increases, it becomes closer to red. This means that the more comments you send, the more red the dots become. As a result, the network of blue candidate Lee had a higher user density than the network of red candidate Yoon. When the degree of relationships between the video comment users in a core group was assessed, Lee's video was deemed to be more communal and collective than Yoon's. Furthermore, as evidenced by network measurement, Lee is heavily concentrated among specific users. Yoon appears cluttered. However, there are great potential for random conversation between users. Yoon's network has a far shorter distance than Lee's. As a result, Yoon is closer to the users than Lee. According to the theory of the network types, Lee's network is more over a tight crowd, while Yoon's network is more of a community cluster. In this election, the decentralized community was victorious over the centralized fan base. The notion regarding the strength of the weak connections is valid. In terms of the number of original words expressed by a respondent, Yoon is more connective and diverse. Yoon's commentators are more expressive than Lee's when it comes to the using a wide variety of languages. When there are substantial issues, those who supported Lee mostly state their favorable opinions, whereas those who responded to the Yoon show the details of their evaluation or criticism. What's interesting is that particular person in this video with a high out-degree value also appeared in Yoon's network as a prominent individual with a decently high in-degree value. Based on his or her playlist and the subscriptions, Hestabiel was discovered to be especially interested in the YouTube channels that are believed to be progressive channels. When the user comments were thoroughly examined, they were friendly to Lee and adverse to Yoon. This is the end of my second study. I'm grateful that you took the time to go over my team's research. This picture was taken at the previous HPC, which was held in 2017, and the Twitter network can be viewed here as well. Thank you very much.